I guess that's how you have fun with guitar.
Oh no. So we have Glink here today,
Hello.
renowned for some wonderful profile pieces and videos about nofap. That's kind of the two main things I think about when I think about your channel. So the first question is, why did you start YouTube? What was your first video, and what kind of inspired you to make it?
Well, I started YouTube back in as a kid. I'm sure most people my age were kind of experimenting with it back in like 2007, 2008, just kind of making those old YouTube poop videos, if you've ever seen those, where
yeah.
it's like Mama Luigi, like just editing all that shit. So yeah, I was like in middle school, just like a young teenager, making all these spoof videos, and eventually like I had a channel and I was starting to get some subscribers, but that channel got shut down because of some bullshit copyright claim from some guy. It was stupid, but it wasn't a huge channel. And then I kind of for a while just watched YouTube occasionally. Then in 2010, like I started making these League videos because League was new,
So
and
that
those were
was
getting
like
some popularity.
the start of the Glink channel, you mean?
Yeah, in
Like
2010
okay,
was
okay.
exactly the start of my current channel. But at the time, I was still doing like kind of just really things that are completely unrelated to what I'm doing now. I was making videos about League of Legends, which was new and was getting a lot of popularity. And then I kind of just went silent for several years. I kind of like tried to do YouTube a little bit, then I gave up. I think a lot of people experience that too. Even like popular creators, I think, have given up and started again many times. And then I kind of really got serious, and the start of my real channel, you could say, was because I only had like 400 subscribers, was in summer of 2016. I started making videos related to Twitch, and that because that was something I was streaming on, that was a community I was a part of, and that was kind of where I started seriously making videos.
So what would be your, for someone that's, even though you've been on the platform for a long time, you're kind of your presence in this current form has kind of only been around for a year, 2 years, as is. So what would you say to someone who's like only started, even like thinking about making videos? What would be like your heralded piece of advice?
I think it kind of goes partially back to what I was saying, which is, and I've actually encouraged a few friends to start their own channels, and I've tried to be as supportive of them as I can, and some of them have been successful. But the best advice is you have to just keep trying. And I know a lot of people, and I'm kind of like this too, where they won't put anything out because it's not perfect or it's not what they truly envisioned.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes what you imagine to be a good video is so hard to make with editing and with filming and stuff. So just keep trying, and you will eventually find out how to, find a good balance.
That's like the hardest thing to deal with, where it's like, because you look at an edit and you're like, no, I can spend 3 months making this better. And then you spend another 3 months making it better, and then you spend another 3 months and it's not relevant anymore, then it gets scrapped.
Exactly. And then no one ends up watching, and then you feel super discouraged.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the more you invest, the more let down you are sometimes.
I think you've got to just push past that initial, like, this isn't, professional and perfect and exactly what I want it to be. I think you've just got to be willing to just put it out there and let people bully you in the comment section. Which is like, it's like my favorite bit of video uploading. So the next question is, what do you think about the current post-apocalypse state of YouTube, and did that actually affect you very much, if at all?
Yeah, these changes, I think I want to say they started around a year ago exactly, but they've been just getting more drastic since.
When did PewDiePie do the See Kyle meme? That was
well, he did that a while ago, but the Wall Street Journal's piece or whatever on it came out, I want to say like in February or like late winter of 2016. It would, or
that's
2017.
That's right.
And yeah, so ever since then, they started cracking down. Especially, I remember spring of last year is when like they came out with these new guidelines and stuff, and then they just been adding on to how strict they are. Um, I mean, it has affected me somewhat, and the interesting thing is it mainly has affected any videos I've made that are talking about politics, which isn't that many, but whenever it seems like whenever there's politics involved, almost regardless of the stance you take, they just will demonetize the fuck out of that. They don't like that.
I think
Um,
it's just the fact that as a corporation, it's really difficult to sort of to have a political identity, because it's like if you let someone make money based on their own political identity on your platform, you're sort of branding yourself with that political identity, and for a corporation, that's like not something you ever want to do.
maybe, but I don't think people. I can see what you're saying in a certain sense, but at the same time, like I don't think your average consumer or even the vast majority of consumers of YouTube videos would ever identify some random fringe guy's maybe extremist political view or whatever the political view is with YouTube as a company or Google as a company rather.
Yeah.
But regardless, yeah, I mean most of that gets demonetized. And then from there it gets in a limited state. I mean it's tough. You have to I've noticed that even if it's not political, I mean you have to tiptoe around you have to be really careful with what you're saying. And I think it mainly affects videos that get past a certain number of views or channels that have a certain number of size, because if you're just super small, I don't think it matters as much. But
It's
when
because
you get it,
you gain like a level of sway
yeah,
over. It's kind of like when when you're talking through your 360p webcam to like a couple hundred people, you're not really going to inspire a movement.
right,
Whereas when you have, hundreds, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people waiting for you to say something about something, it's like, you have a huge community that you're influencing and that you have this
yeah,
sway, this control over.
yeah. Well, that's the funny part too, is it's not even all YouTube enforced. Like I've noticed
Yeah.
as my channel and videos have gotten bigger, like I have had that exact same lines of thoughts in my head that you just described, which is like, well, even if I'm intending this to be a joke that my friends will get, whatever, or that maybe I come off as an asshole, but people know really how I am. It's
Yeah.
like when you get past a certain number of views, and you can't always predict how a video is going to do, people can really misconstrue things. People can really misinterpret things, or people can you can just come off a certain way that you didn't intend to. So you do have to, in general, be careful, kind of what you say, or be calculated at least. Understand the consequences.
I think it's hard because it's like, you'll make a video as as a reasonably intelligent person.
Mm.
It's like you'll make a video, you'll put a joke in there, and it's like people won't realize that what you're saying is a joke. They'll take you at face value, and then they'll say to YouTube, well, you said this thing about that
Yeah.
thing, and it's like then they're gonna be like, well, this person's telling us this thing, and I guess
It
stuff
just leads
gets
to
lost in
confusion
communication
sometimes.
so much that it's
Yeah.
like it gets stuff demonetized that really shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's definitely well, yeah, that's partially true, but also even aside from demonetization, it's like you can just have people like this happens all the time. People will just be angry about something, or they'll be upset at you, or you'll come off a certain way.
Yeah.
Even if it's all monetized, it's like you still don't necessarily want to be represented poorly. So yeah, so it's tricky. And then with the demonetization, like with the NoFap video that I made, I was like, like initially some videos that are more sensitive, I guess, will
Yeah.
always get initially demonetized, and you have to appeal them. That one was one of them, and I was like, even though the topic matter is sort of mature in a way, I'm not
It was
showing
well
anything
put
graphic.
together. It wasn't like you were making from my perspective. I've seen the video. It was a good
Yeah,
video. Like
thanks.
it's not. It wasn't. It was comedic at times, but it wasn't crazily memey and jokey.
Yeah.
It was
Well, I
it
wasn't
was
trying to be
actually informative.
graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to like be explicit or graphic with it, even though the content matter sort of is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely can be tricky. Yeah.
So I guess the next question, considering the fact that you make so much content about Twitch as well, this kind of works out well. Like, this is kind of like a two-parter. So, firstly, do you think that YouTube is ever like really gonna sort out major issues? And if not, is that gonna lead people to go to other platforms like Twitch and, God forbid, Facebook. Um,
Yeah.
is that something that's going to happen? And then if that's the case, the state of Twitch isn't very good either. What do you think? What do you think of that? That's
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that you asked that, because it's like people are, in a sense, definitely diversifying. Like, even, huge creators are trying to spread out. They don't want to put all their eggs on the YouTube basket, because I think they sort of realize, oh, who knows where this could go, or whatever.
Gonna blow.
Yeah, or especially people with content that they might feel might be threatened or whatever. They're going to Twitch, but at the same time, like you just mentioned, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because Twitch in many ways is actually much more strict than YouTube. They'll just permaban you.
YouTube gaming is brilliant right now.
Yeah.
Like I don't personally stream a lot anymore. It's just I don't have the time for it anymore. But it's like, by comparison to the rules and the enforcement and the monitoring and the boxes that you have to constantly keep ticked with them, it's like YouTube gaming is like what YouTube was back in the mid 2000s. It's
so you streamed on both Twitch and YouTube.
I've streamed on Twitch for a bit. I've streamed on YouTube for a bit. I'm not a large on the platform.
Yeah,
but it's like I find YouTube is more. It just feels better. You're much less restricted with what you can say. It's like I'm not a particularly I'm not a crazy edgelord with stuff like this, but it's like I can see that with people that are, it must be really nice to actually have a level of freedom on the platform. Which is
and that's
completely different from what YouTube actually is as a video hosting platform. It's such a weird. It's like they're completely different companies, and it's really weird.
Yeah, I think unfortunately it's just a sign of YouTube's incompetence and negligence is why it's like that. But if they had their way, it would be super strict, probably. I don't know. But it's so fascinating, because on one hand, you have these YouTubers who've only experienced who know one thing, going to Twitch, being kind of ignorant of how strict Twitch can be, and we'll see how that plays out. Maybe they'll get banned. Maybe they won't even stream, because streaming is way different than videos. It's harder or whatever. Or it's not harder, but it just takes up more time in a way.
I think it's different, because it's like with streaming, you find that when you make a video, it's like, depending on what you make, it's like, generally there's like, you get the idea, and then that becomes a script, and then that becomes a shoot, and then that becomes an edit, and then that becomes a video. Whereas it's like all that time that you spend putting into a video, you're gonna spend the same amount of time streaming if you're serious about streaming, because it's like the
and sometimes every day or whatever.
Yeah. I kind of find that like I think that like full-time streaming would be much more grueling than full-time video making, because it's like,
I agree,
because it's like with video making, it's like when you want to take, when you're sitting down in front of your webcam or your DSLR or whatever, it's like when you want to take a break, you can take that break.
Mm-hmm.
When you're editing, Control S, close the program, have a walk. Whereas when you're streaming, it's kind of like there's this constant, because you made a video about it, about the less than pleasant bits about streaming, and about how there's like this expectation to constantly be to be open and to be showing people everything, and it's like, I think streaming, psychologically, it must be a lot harder on the person that's
for sure. I mean, it's like you're turning your life, depending on how serious you are with it, you're turning your life into a reality show, which is
like when you're
stressful.
When you're at the really, really high level, it's like people know everything about you. You've no privacy. Your relationships are under scrutiny. You can't have your private Twitter or your private Facebook, because people are gonna find it. It's a really, really.
Whereas compare that to someone like a huge YouTuber that shows their face and has a huge following. Great example, iDubbbz. I feel like if he was a full-time streamer with the same amount of fans and popularity, it would be so much different in terms of like,
his life would be hell.
Oh yeah, his life would be hell. He'd be stressed out. We would know way more about him. We would it's kind of like he's more like a mysterious guy than a lot of streamers in many ways, at least in my eyes.
I think it's because he's gone from. I've been watching not to gloat, but I've been watching iDubbbz for years and years and years back when it was like him playing Slender before he took that video down.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and it was like he kind of went from someone who would upload a video like, every week, every other week, to someone who would only upload a video when it was important.
Necessary.
He got his reputation because he speaks exactly when he's needed to, and when he does,
Yeah.
with such a level of emphasis and with care, that it's just kind of he has this big kind of reputation. But
Yeah.
it's weird that that you don't know anything about him as a person. Because like
Right.
even on other social media, even when he's on his girlfriend's Twitch stream, it's like you still don't find anything
Yeah.
out about who he is. It's really
He's kind
weird.
of in character, or like, he's still not, he's not opening up like, hey guys, this is what I was dealing with today, blah blah blah. He's always
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, and that's why it was interesting to see him on the H3 podcast, because
yeah.
I've never seen him like that really before.
Like actual like a candid view
Yeah.
into
It was
who
interesting.
it was really strange because Ian and iDubbbz they're different people. They're completely different people.
That's an interesting way of putting it. Yeah. I never thought of it that way.
It's the same way that PewDiePie and Felix they're
Hmm.
not they're not the same person anymore. It's like
Yeah.
maybe 7 or 8 years ago they were the same person, but it's like now it's like the brand identity and the character and the way Felix acts when he makes these videos. It's like they're
Yeah.
like completely different people now, and it's like because it's like when he makes a video where he's when he makes a vlog, for example, it's
Yeah.
like he doesn't talk about himself. He'll talk about himself in the first person, but then he'll talk about PewDiePie. He looks at it in like from this weird like second person perspective. It's really strange, I think.
Yeah. I think a lot of creators, especially of that level, are I don't know. Maybe it's not always a bad thing even either, but it's definitely something that you don't expect or prepare for, is like having, because whenever you're on camera, whenever you're making a video, your audience has certain expectations, or
Yeah.
that you're trying to put on a certain, to
Show.
some extent, a certain act for an audience, right? Yeah, which is completely different from how you just are right now in person, whatever. So
That's strange. Now speaking of YouTubers, what if any, what YouTuber like do you think that you would meld with the most? Like what YouTuber would you want to collaborate with the most? If you could have like your pick of any YouTuber, who would it any content creator, even Twitch, Mixer.
yeah, what is Mixer? I keep hearing about Mixer.
It's Microsoft's answer to Twitch and YouTube.
Oh.
But you can only stream from an Xbox, and you
Oh,
can only watch it on an Xbox.
that's so stupid.
Yeah, it does have some pretty cool integrations with like Microsoft games.
Yeah.
Like the way you have like Twitch plays Pokemon and Twitch plays Tetris.
Yeah.
Like they have like some really good integration with like I think they have integration with Minecraft and with Halo.
Oh, nice.
And I think Sea of Thieves. And it's
okay.
like there's like a lot more interaction, which is really cool as a proof of concept, but it's like no one uses the platform.
Right.
Which is
you never know. I've been hearing more and more about it. Maybe it's just people making fun of it every time, but it could get some popularity if they expand it more. Who knows?
It's gotten popular since it started, but it's like it's not really like a actual.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, we'll see. Maybe it will.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. The question. What YouTuber?
Yeah.
Collaborate with?
Damn. Well, I'll put it to you in terms of collaboration. I'm not even exactly sure, because sometimes it's hard to tell if your like styles would mix, or if your audiences would mix. But I'll tell you this: I'm really inspired by people like you. I mean, obviously, like iDubbbz, like Filthy Frank, like the staples, like the people who everyone likes, everyone enjoys. But I also like, and he's pretty popular too, Joe Rogan, who it's more like a podcast, but he has a huge channel now.
I think Joe Rogan is like one of the most interesting people.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what is he like 1,200 episodes into that podcast?
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like the people that he's spoken to. It's like I feel like
it's such a wide range.
Talk to that guy for hours and hours and hours, and neither of you would ever get bored.
Yeah.
I feel like he's like that one person that's like just so easy to talk to
Hmm.
because he's got this level of experience with so many different people.
And it's so great because not only is it all these different fascinating discussions with sometimes really well-known people and not so well-known people, but he also it's so cool that he has such a big audience and platform, because it's like, this is great, like there's millions of people willing to listen to these long form nuanced conversations, which I think sometimes we're missing with our media diet, you could call it. Like,
Yeah,
people just clickbait
people
shit,
kind of want, people want like somebody squealing at them with a high pitched
Yeah.
voice in a
Or like a
10-minute or
sound
less
bite.
video.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
new Fortnite skins. Wow, how
Yeah,
exciting!
it's kind of lowest common denominator with that kind of stuff, but
Yeah, and it's kind of when that fills up YouTube so much, or you think it's filling up YouTube so much, it starts to kind of feel like, does no one watch
yeah,
anything good? And then it's like when you see someone like Joe Rogan
yeah,
doing a successful, it's really uplifting
definitely.
to see that level of that kind of sustained quality over such a period of time. But no,
Yeah,
I think he would be a good person. Like, I don't know about making videos, but I feel like he'd just be a good person to talk to.
yeah, like on his podcast, on his show, talk with him. Yeah.
We should at him when we publish the video and
Yeah, I'm
get
down. I'll
Glink on the
retweet it.
show. Yeah, let's go, dude. Right. What do you think is like? I know we've already covered it sort of, but what do you think is like the best bit and the worst bit about YouTube as a platform, and how do you think we can fix or improve the platform
I think the
as like
best
content creators?
I think the best part about YouTube is just I mean, it's like, I think about this sometimes, like YouTube is the ultimate tool for getting an organic, you might call grassroots following,
Yeah,
platform, audience, based on just expressing yourself creatively,
got that.
and
Yeah,
not having to go through any sort of corporate financing, any
yeah,
sort of like publisher. You hit publish. Like, that's so fucking cool. That'll always be cool. And I think conversely, the flip side of that is we have to protect that. That has to be important,
yeah,
because if things get more and more strict, and we've seen this a little bit with YouTube, where they'll kind of favor big, like ABC or something, like they'll be allowed to have a video
hmm
talking about their politics or their whatever ideas. But if H3 or if someone else makes a video about the same topic with a slightly different slant, suddenly that's demonetized. That's not allowed.
yeah.
Um,
That's a really important point actually about the whole, what is it? Partnered content,
yeah,
favored content, or something, where
yeah.
it's like basically we're not gonna demonetize your content at all. We're not even gonna look at it. We're
Hmm.
just gonna
Just
let it
above the
sit,
law. Yeah,
which is really what it should be for everyone past a certain point.
yeah.
Because it's like once you're
Um,
putting the effort in to make the videos, and it's kind of becoming like your full-time occupation. It's like there should be a level of, it's like a two-way street. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. And I think, as like you were saying, like what should creators do, or what should they focus on? I think a big part of it is talking about it, which a lot of people do,
Yeah.
which is great, because normal viewers who'd never make any videos, never even try, like, they might never know about this stuff. But I think a lot of people now, you'll see comment sections where it's mainly just people who don't even have channels, but because they watch a lot of these people talk about it, they'll be like, yeah, YouTube sucks, they're demonetizing creators. Like, that's cool that people care. I think that's
It's
great, because,
we're
and they should care,
developing a
because
meta as a website.
yeah,
It's like
exactly, exactly.
it's not just, it's like where the comment section used to be like, it was almost always legitimate discussion about the video, and it
Right.
wasn't just trolling or hating on something or just being a shit stain for the fun of it.
Yeah.
It's like it's more and more coming towards
Memes.
like this
It's really
yeah,
just
this
memes.
site is developing like its heart and its soul. And
Yeah.
it's kind of it's weird because for a while it's like you wouldn't expect the majority of viewers to really know about the fact that it's like it's really difficult to make it on the platform,
Hmm.
and like to make it. It's not something that I
I think
really
it's great that they
think about,
do.
but yeah, no, it is.
And I think
So
that's important. Yeah.
speaking of the comment section, what is yours generally like? Are we talking like really toxic, or is it really supportive, or is it just just a huge snowball of its own meta?
No, definitely not like anything's hugely memey or meta. I know there's some comment sections where out like do you know Anthony Fantano, the needle
I do,
drop?
yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's still like this, but I'm pretty sure for a while it probably still is. Like the top like the 100 comments that you scroll down to are all about like some meme about 6 out of 10, 10 out of, you gave this a 10 out of 10, but like it's all jokes and it's like super meta with that, like
Yeah.
you were just saying. Mine is definitely not at that point. I don't know if, and it's not necessarily bad or good thing to be at that point. It's just like that's your kind of community
I
or
think that
whatever.
just
That's the,
comes with like the more people you have.
yeah, that too. That too. Yeah, mine is just like pretty uh usually it's people who are um kind of, sometimes it's people who don't totally get what I'm saying. Like that's like a
Yeah.
small percentage, like, well, what are you doing here? What is this? And then usually it's people who are agreeing with me. I guess that's pretty obvious though. Usually not too negative. Honestly, with comments though, man, like, and with comment sections on YouTube, I kind of, I'll do a thing where I usually read the comments, but once I get like the few top comments or like a few ones below that, I'll kind of just like I'll just like stop looking at it because I feel like, well, that's all they have to offer me. Like, surely the best comment would rise to the top. And maybe that's stupid to do sometimes, but um, yeah, I don't like in back in the day, like I would just dig through comments to see like, was there any new information? You know what I mean? Like, but now
Yeah.
the top comment system kind of, and everyone kind of goes for that too, which is
Yeah.
maybe a bit concerning because it's like, well, if you're just trying to make me laugh and that's the top comment every time, it's not as substantive sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. I don't really have that problem because my my channel's tiny, so it's like the comment section is always like
It's wholesome, right?
it's very easy to
Yeah.
manage. It's very easy to moderate. It's very easy to go in and respond to everything and read everything. But it's
I
like
think that's
because
good. If you
yeah,
respond to them, I think that'll work to cultivate, encourage them to keep comments like
yeah.
that coming. You know what I mean?
what do, what even question am I on? I'm like I can't even tell. I'm using a notepad document, so formatting is not the best. So once again with like comments and stuff, like do you encounter like do you encounter haters or like the opposite of that? Have you ever had like super fans of the channel to like the point where it's like kind of creepy, or have you ever had like someone like come up to you in real life, like saying they recognize you?
Oh yeah, I've had that a few times. I think it's because I sort of have like sort of a slightly distinct look. But I have had that where people come up, and that's not usually not weird or weird like concerning at all. I've like a few
Unless
times
they have
people
a
have been like,
knife.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you never know, but usually it's been just normal, cool people. But it's funny that you say that about the super fans and the stuff and the haters and stuff, because I've noticed the two are kind of the same sometimes. Because
Yeah.
the people that care to hurt you the most are oftentimes starting out as the people who claim to love you the most or be the
Yeah.
biggest fan of you or whatever. Um, yeah, man, that's something I've actually been struggling with. Sort of is how do I like sometimes, and I'm not trying to like toot my own horn at all because I'm just I still consider myself like moderately sized or like small-ish compared to big people, but I'll get messages all the time by just like people I don't know, and they'll like kind of want to be friends with me. It's like, man, like I can't have all the time in the day for everyone that
Yeah.
messages me and wants to be my friend, and it's like I don't want to be rude or insulting at the same time. So it's because I try to respond to every message, but it's a weird thing to balance, man. It's super hard to balance that socially. Um, and it's, yeah, and you never know what someone's intention, or some people do have like issues and stuff, truly. And when you have the bigger the sample size, there's always going to be guaranteed to be someone who's like fucking crazy, right?
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Who's a
It's
fan
like
of you.
it's like if you have 100 subscribers, probably no crazies. If you have a
Hmm.
thousand, maybe a crazy. If you have 100,000, it's like
Guaranteed.
logically there are going to be a couple
Yeah.
psychopath axe murderers
Yeah,
in
dude,
that
it's
from this
weird.
group.
It's weird to think that, but it's like,
It's hard because it's I find that it's like even though I'm not really at the level where it's like people bombard me with messages, but it's like sometimes you get people that you don't know messaging you. It's like, dude, I don't know you.
yeah.
Like it's like it's
And you don't want to be rude
you don't want to
either,
be rude
but
to you don't want to like just like not respond to messages or like be really mean to someone or block them, but it's like sometimes it's really difficult to just trust people that have
That
just,
too.
practically just showed up on your doorstep trying to give
Exactly.
you a hug. Like, whoa, okay, let's step it
Yeah.
back a bit. What's happening here?
Yeah.
It's always very I guess difficult to manage because you never really know what, like, are
Definitely.
people just wanting to, are people just wanting to talk to someone like you because you have influence on the platform, you have a large sub base, or are they talking to you because they genuinely think that you're someone who they would get on with? It's like,
Yeah. I think and I hate to do this or to think this, but it's like I think ultimately though the best path for that is you kind of have to be ignoring a lot of it, and because there's no way like someone like iDubbbz fucking responds to any, you can tweet at him a million times, he's probably not going to respond to you, right? um that's the main solution, like, because if you have that if people have the expectation of, oh, you responded to him, why didn't you respond to me, it's like,
yeah,
yeah. You don't want to get too invested, I guess, in that part of it.
stuff like that it's really difficult to, I don't know, to work out, I guess.
Hmm.
Well, we'll get there one day where it's easy and you just know exactly what to say every time, but
Or
I don't
what
know.
not
I
to
don't.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, or just block everyone. Just
Yeah.
never talk. Delete your Twitter account.
Like, no
Just
one teaches you this shit, there's no manager, there's no,
yeah.
it's kind of all on your own. Yeah.
So our sort of our second closer question is, if you couldn't, or if you didn't make the content that you made right now, what would be like another form of, maybe not YouTube, but maybe Twitch? What would be like another form of content that you think that you would thrive in if you weren't making your
um
current content?
I always thought about music production because I always have like a ear for music and specific sounds. I've never like played an instrument very well, because I never was brought up to, but I've always been interested in learning an instrument. I've fiddled around with it a little bit, or like even just making beats on the computer. That's something that's always fascinated me.
I think that people are always you find that people are always reluctant to start with an instrument because it's something that's really, it's really,
Difficult,
really,
yeah.
yeah, it's really daunting for a lot of people. But it's like, I think I've drummed now for, what year is it? 2018, 20. I've been drumming for like 6 years, playing the
Wow,
guitar for
nice.
7. So it's like, it's always going to be when you start something, when you start something new, because it's like, music isn't really like anything else,
Right.
in the sense that, it's like, it's so, it's at the forefront of practically all culture in every country, everywhere you go on the planet.
Yeah.
But it's like, so many people just don't know how it works. They don't know the concepts. They don't know how rhythm works. They don't know how
Hmm.
harmonization works. They don't know how anything works. So it's really difficult to just kind of
Yeah,
pick
there's like a
something and
science to
go.
it.
Yeah. But I would say that honestly, the best thing to do if you're considering starting music is just save a bit of cash, buy a piano or a guitar or a drum kit, and just start. Go on to
Yeah.
YouTube and just
Teach
search for
yourself.
something you like and just teach yourself. Because it's like, there's always the option of learning, but it's like, I think that with music, it's something that people are always really reluctant to start. But it's like, the second you pick up an instrument, there is going to be something you can play. It's like, there are billions of different combinations
Yeah.
of notes you can hold on a piano and chords you can play on a guitar. So it's like, there's going to be something that you're able to do from day one. So you might as well just go.
And
That's
I've
what I think.
felt very slightly like I'm obviously extremely novice, but like I've practiced a little bit with the piano, with the guitar, like, and I've found like some tutorials for songs.
Yeah.
And even just playing like one riff of
Yeah.
that song feels so fucking
It,
like
dude, it
magical.
does.
It's like, holy shit, I did that sound,
Yeah.
It's something you don't expect, but it really does feel awesome.
It's something that you can't do. You can't do by yourself. And it's like when you pick up a bit of equipment and you make something and it sounds like a song that you like.
Yeah,
It's a really, really magical feeling,
it
I think.
definitely is.
So that's the questions that we've got on here.
All right.
But yeah, I think that's us. I
Yeah, man.
guess I
Hey,
guess the only thing left to ask about is this NoFap stuff serious on the Twitter?
It is. I mean,
It
like
is serious?
the days are real. Yeah. I mean, me doing it is kind
Okay.
of not totally serious in terms of like,
It's a meme. It's a little bit of a meme.
yeah, but I'm actually doing it
Oh
though
yeah.
in real life. But I mean, like me showing it isn't like me. It's like kind of like being tongue in cheek in a way. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like I don't know if I'm gonna have it forever, but yeah, it's kind of just a fun little. That's funny that you mentioned it for my Twitter because I'm realizing now how much that's like wearing it on your sleeve. In other words, like because
No, it's
it's a part of your Twitter
like
name, you know.
it's like a sign on your front door.
Yeah, exactly,
Like
exactly.
practically speaking.
Yeah,
It's
that's funny.
it it's something that like a lot of people are like really sort of about, but it's like this channel, like every video on this channel is already demonetized and no one watches it anyway.
Mm.
So do you think that kind of stuff has like real benefit in
I
like,
think
it's
so.
like even though you're like being like tongue in cheek and kind of jokey about it, it's like is it really like, would you say to people like to do that, or
Yeah, well, I would say to people to try it. I mean, I think the main, like, my main concern, honestly, more so than masturbation itself and testosterone and all that, is porn. Because I do think that porn can warp your sort of expectations. And I
no,
know it's
I
done
agree
this for
definitely.
me. And I think it's something where if that's your main source of pleasure sexually, it's just not healthy. And you're just going to get deeper and deeper into expecting that or wanting that rather than actual sex. And that's not for everyone, of course. But I think it's important to test out if that's the case, if you feel that way. If you can't go a week without masturbating to porn, or you can't have sex normally, or whatever, or you can't feel feelings for someone in a vanilla way,
Yeah, like
you know,
there's something that you need to, I think at that point it's like it's even though for some people at least it's like there's no, they don't notice like a real tangible benefit to it, but it's like
it's
I think
gradual, I think.
I think it's not as much. I know there's like a small, some women do it, but it's mainly for guys, and it's like I think most guys owe it to themselves to just, am I able to just avoid this for
Exactly.
a
Try
period
it.
of time, because it's a really good way of showing yourself that you have a good level of self control, or that you don't, and then maybe working out some kind of solution to it.
Definitely. 100%. Like I would just say to anyone who's unsure, who thinks it's interesting, try it for a week, try it for 2 weeks, see how you can do. And that you can kind of gauge where you're at depending on how difficult that is, I guess.
Yeah, no, I find that it's like it's something that could be really good for your self confidence, as like
Definitely.
just being able to say, this is something you do an awful lot, but it's like if you want to, you can just completely stop it.
Yeah,
I,
man.
I think
Like
anything like that is good for your self confidence.
it's it's the most surprising thing is how empowering it is. Like I'll find
Oh yeah,
myself where it's like, wait, I know I have this temptation in the back of my mind where I could do this
yeah.
anytime point, but it's like I feel power over it. And it's like that feels good. It does help your
No, it
confidence.
does.
Yeah.
So I think that's us. I think that's us
Yeah.
because you're gonna run out of time soon enough.
Yeah, dude.
But
But it's okay.
yeah, no, that's us. Thanks very much for watching. I don't know how we're gonna upload this in the end, but thanks very much for watching or listening and looking at potentially a very nice, well-made, blurry background that I've thrown together in Premiere in 2 seconds. Or maybe the video feed if that works out. All right.
Okay.
Uh, hope you guys have a really good time. Thank you very much for coming on to the show. It's been a really good time. Hopefully later down the line we can do this again.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I think it's really cool that you're doing this with a lot of different creators. I think that's really awesome. And I admire that a lot. Let me know when it's up. I'll like retweet it, I'll promote it,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's a real fun time, man.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, man. I think you did a great job interviewing as well. So thank you.
Have a good one, guys. Bye bye. I'm trying to convince Seal to help us start a proper podcast thing. So
That'd be cool. Go for it. I just
we'll
started
get
my
you
own
over
as
sometime.
well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And likewise, yeah, I could get you guys on to mine. I'm still growing it, still figuring out the
Hell yeah,
kinks for sure.
that'll be some great fucking promotion for me.
Yeah. You guys should totally make it into a podcast, I think. Yeah.
No, I think it would be a really fun thing to do.
Yeah, dude. Let me know. Keep in
Yeah,
touch.
I will. Thank you very much, man. Have a
All
good one.
right. Later, man.
Bye.